What is up, guys? 70 Savage here, another smoking hot day in California, and we have an exciting video today. Today we are going to be installing the Alpine Mechanisms seat swivel, low profile. It's only ½ inch thick. It's about to be awesome. Let's get to it. So I bought my Alpine Mechanisms seat swivel directly from RB Components. You can also buy it directly from Alpine Mechanisms. You can buy it probably eventually all over the place. So it's very simple. Once you get the package open, this is what you got. Two things. You got a little bag of hardware here, and you have the seat swivel itself. So to get this out, you want to uninstall it from the piece of plywood that's in the box. Just take off these nuts and these washers, and you can toss those. They're not going to be needed. You want to get this steel piece, which is the seat swivel itself, out of the box. Let's go ahead and do that. So right here we have 100% of the parts that you're actually going to need to install this seat swivel. Let me go over the parts real quick. You have the seat swivel itself. It's made of solid steel. It probably weighs 25 or 30 pounds just on its own. You have this locking pin here, which I'll show you how to install in a second with a nut on it. You have 8 bolts. They're kind of countersink looking bolts. 4 of those are going to go down into the seat post. 4 of them are going to go up in the seat itself. And then you have 4 nuts that's going to go on the upward facing countersink bolts. You also get an extra nut and an extra bolt. These ones actually aren't used on the 2019 model, so you can set these aside for now. So this locking pin is actually a nifty little part here. When you turn it into the unlocked position, the pin goes upwards, and then when you turn it into the locked position, the pin comes back out. So all we're gonna do to install this is literally put it in the slot right here. In the locked position, you wanna make sure that the pin protrudes out from underneath the second plate here. And in the unlocked position, you can see that the pin retracted from the second plate here and is now unblocking the swivel. So the next step is, before actually setting it in the car underneath the seat, you wanna rotate the swivel about 30 degrees just to expose both the downward facing slots and the upward facing slots so that we can actually attach them to the seat post. All right guys, so now we are just stepping into the van. So what you need to do to uninstall the seat, specifically to uninstall these bolts right here, is get Torx keys. These are a bit different than the hex wrench keys because obviously they have the Torx pattern instead of the hex pattern, but that's gonna fit right on there, and it'll allow you to undo these 4 bolts. Before you can actually pull this seat off, you need to unplug this electrical harness right here. It's one plug. You just pinch on the 2 little tabs on the sides, you pull them inwards slightly, and then it simply unclips. Something very important to note about this electrical harness: the second that you unplug this, do not start the car until the seat has been reinstalled completely and this has been re-plugged back in. It will throw an error code, and you will need an OBD scanner to reset it. That actually happened to me when I was installing my DC to DC charger under my driver's seat, and there are currently no OBD scanners on the market that can reset this code. So your only option, if you turn the car on after unplugging this, is going back to the dealership and paying $160 for them to reset your codes. All right guys, so now we have our seat swivel mount here. All we want to do is set it down directly onto where we removed the seat. You want to line up the 4 bolt holes that you had previously uninstalled the seat from. And you just want to make sure that the sticker, the Alpine Mechanism sticker, is facing forward, the locking pin is facing backwards, and that is the correct way to install it. Also, just to ensure that you have the correct seat swivel, you always want to make sure that the hole for this seat swivel is towards the inside of the van, towards the back of the van, slightly. The only reason I say that is because originally I was shipped the wrong swivel and it confused me quite a bit. You probably have the right one, but just in case, I thought I'd note that. The next step is very simple. You want to take 4 of the countersink looking bolts here, and you want to put them downward. So all you got to do is take your Allen key and tighten them down. So this is by far the worst part of this installation. These protruding pins that come out of the bottom of the seat actually prevent you from installing the swivel at all. They stick right into the swivel and you can't bolt the seat to the swivel itself. So what we have to do is grind off these protruding pins. I'm using a Dremel with a grinding bit. You could use a straight up angle grinder. It might not be as precise, but we're gonna have to go ahead and grind through this entire pin so that we can bolt the seat to the swivel mount. All right, so now that we've ground this thing straight off, we need to make it flush with the bottom of this seat rail for it to have a good stable connection with the swivel mount. All right, so we have ground this steel pin straight flush with the bottom of the rail here. We're gonna apply a thin coat of Rust-Oleum protective enamel to prevent the areas from rusting. In a few hours after the stuff dries, we will be ready for the final step. All right, so now for the fun part, reinstalling this seat itself. All you gotta do at this point is set the seat back onto the swivel mount and line up the rails, or the holes in the rails, with the swivel mount. Don't be dumb like me, and remember to pull out the wire harness from that hole in the middle of the seat swivel. Now it is time to use the final 4 countersink bolts, as well as these final 4 nuts here, to install the swivel bracket onto the seat. So all you've got to do now is take a standard wrench, the same Allen key that you used before to tighten down the bolts. You put the wrench on top, the Allen key up the bottom, and go around all 4 of these, tighten them up nice and good. There we have it. We now have ourselves a full-on swiveling passenger seat. All we got to do now to actually make this thing work is go to the back, make sure that we're in the unlocked position. That is the locked position. The unlocked position. And to prove it to you guys, you can actually swivel this thing with the door completely closed. One of the cool features about it. All you got to do is make sure that the back of your seat, this part right here, is pushed up a little bit. You drag it forward and boom, shakalaka. You got yourself full-on rotation. Don't have to open any doors. And in my case, I have a full-on swiveling desk as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope it inspired you to buy these seat swivels because they are freaking awesome. There will be a full-on review coming out of these seat swivels in the near future. So subscribe to my channel if you want to get notified the second that comes out. Other than that, I've converted this entire van all by myself, by hand. If you want to see any tutorials about how to make any of this stuff back here, a sliding bed system, a galley unit with a fridge, a bench seat with a toilet in it, my wooden ceiling, my upper cabinets, my solar panels, my electrical system, I have videos on all of that stuff on my channel, so go ahead and slap that subscribe button, slap that like button, and I will see you guys next time.